Todd Heap, Dennis Pitta, Ed Dixon, Mark Andrews, and now Isiah Likely. The Baltimore Ravens have a rich and deep history with developing tight ends, and while not all of them have been home runs, many have made a solid career starting out in the purple and black. As an offense that has primarily used the run game to power itself, wide receivers have rarely been able to shine in Baltimore as brightly as in other teams' systems. The tight end has seemingly become the Ravens' version of a wide receiver. The position itself requires blocking, pass catching, and with the ball in their hand, running through people as opposed to around them. Currently, the Ravens have two excellent tight ends on their roster. One, a proven All-Pro in Mark Andrews, the other, a rising star with incredible potential in Isiah Likely. With both of these players' contracts up at the end of 2025, the Ravens will have to make a tough decision next offseason. Who stays and who goes? Let's get to it. Welcome in, everyone. This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report, and today we're going to be discussing a topic that I've heard some of the fan base bringing up, which is centered around replacing Mark Andrews with Isiah Likely. Likely filled in for Mark Andrews during a few games in 2022, where he performed admirably as a fill-in tight end. At that point, this topic was just a whisper. Maybe some fans who thought Andrews was overrated. But then last year, after Andrews went down in Week 11 against the Bengals, Likely came in and absolutely balled out. In the final 6 games of the regular season, he caught 21 receptions on 28 targets, which is 75%, for 322 yards and 5 touchdowns. And while those numbers might be good, it honestly wasn't the raw numbers that mattered as much as how Likely was making these catches and when he was making these plays. Isiah filled in for Andrews almost seamlessly, showing incredible chemistry with Lamar and making big catches at crucial points. The Jacksonville game, against the Rams, and the Miami game, where he made a one-handed catch and then sprinted down the sideline for a touchdown. While this may seem like a useless exercise, I want to show you guys what both of these Ravens tight ends would have done if they had both played at the level they were playing during the season for an entire season. So for Andrews, instead of 10 games, he would have had 17, and for Likely, instead of 6, he would have had 17. First, Andrews would have had 104 targets and 76 receptions for 925 yards and 10 touchdowns through a 17-game season at the pace that he was on. Now, we've seen numbers like this from Andrews before. In 2019, through 16 games, he had 64 receptions on 98 targets for 852 yards and 10 touchdowns. Likely, based on the 6 games he had at the end of the regular season, projects his 79 targets and 60 receptions for 912 yards and 14 touchdowns. Now, it goes without saying that having two tight ends combined for over 1,800 yards and 24 touchdowns would be incredible and unrealistic. So more than anything, what this does is showcase for us the incredible potential of Isiah Likely. Now, obviously for this conversation to even continue into next offseason, both Mark and Isiah have to be at this level or better during the 2024 season. But with that said, would the Ravens really move on from Mark Andrews if he has another down year or more injuries, and if Isiah Likely continues to play the way he did in those final 6 games last year? I think this question really comes down to the health of Mark Andrews. Isiah Likely has already shown that he's good, and maybe even great so far in his young career, but the Ravens aren't the team to bet against a sure thing, and Mark Andrews is not old. Not saying that everyone is Travis Kelce, but he has at least shown that you can be a great tight end even into your mid-30s. The way that Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson play together is something that I think Ravens fans will want to continue to see year in and year out. So while many fans are wondering who stays and who goes between Mark and Isiah, I'm over here wondering if there's a way we can keep them both. Now, obviously, that's pretty unrealistic. Andrews' contract is currently one of the largest on the Ravens and likely is still on his rookie deal. Expecting that to happen is probably more fantasy than reality. So instead, I'd rather focus on what we can get out of these two extremely talented tight ends for the 2 years we still have them on the roster together. As a Ravens fan, I am fully aware of my own bias. So I know when fans of other teams see our top players on offense as Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, and Isiah Likely, most of the time they're really only worrying about Lamar, Henry, Andrews, and maybe Zay. The reason I say maybe for Zay is because they might believe that his rookie season was a fluke. And while I'm sure that some other fans of other teams that really paid attention to the Ravens towards the end of the season understand how good Likely is, I think you do truly have to be a Ravens fan to appreciate the impact that he had on this offense after Mark went down. The thing that excites me the most and many other fans about this offense is the idea of both Isiah Likely and Mark Andrews on the field with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Devontae Walker, and the problems that will cause defensive coordinators. Now, obviously, I'm not a defensive coordinator for an NFL team, but if you have all of those talented players, and Lamar Jackson is the one throwing them the ball, and next to him is Derrick Henry, I'm not exactly sure what you do. I just don't see how this team and this offense aren't going to be as successful as they were last year. The only question mark in mind for this offense is the offensive line, and that is a big deal for sure. But I have faith in the players that we have and our coaches to get them ready. Look at the receiving threats the Ravens had last year. The only thing you're really changing in my mind is swapping out OBJ for Likely. Now, I'm happy with what OBJ gave us, but with how Isiah Likely has been playing, it's hard to think that he won't give you more than OBJ did on this offense if given the same opportunities, especially with the chemistry that he and Lamar Jackson have and the mismatches that he creates on the field. The emergence of Likely in this offense has so many implications. At the start of last year, almost every opponent knew that Mark Andrews was the number one target, and then maybe OBJ, and maybe Aguilar or Zay. But Zay was an unknown, and Aguilar and OBJ, well, that was based on their veteran status. This year, defenses are not going to know what to think as far as who Lamar's favorite target is going to be on any given play, which is just the way Todd Monken wants things. Yeah, it's probably true that Mark Andrews is still Lamar's favorite target, but wait, he likes to throw it to Zay as well. And he likes to throw it to Isiah Likely as well. And both John Harbaugh and EDC have made it pretty clear that Bateman is going to be much more involved in the offense this year than last year. Mark Andrews and Isiah Likely are a great pairing on the field, but not just for each other. The entire offense benefits from their unique style of play and connection with Lamar. Last year, before the season started, I thought bringing OBJ in was a good idea, not only for his talent, but I thought it would give other players easier coverages down the field with OBJ drawing most of the attention. I did just release a video about how I believe Derrick Henry will have a similar effect on this offense, but from the running back position. But the receiving core of both wide receivers and tight ends should all be viewed by opposing defenses as equally dangerous. Each of the two starting tight ends and the starting wide receivers can run pretty much any route, have great hands, and are surprisingly elusive. Well, I guess Zay Flowers isn't surprisingly elusive. We all kind of knew he was elusive already, but I think the thing that works best about Mark and Isiah on the field together is that they play the game differently. Both are obviously great at catching the ball and even running after the catch, but Mark has always dominated the middle of the field, and last year we saw that Likely works well inside and on the outside as well. If Todd Monken can figure out a way to perfectly mesh Mark Andrews and Isiah Likely's skill sets into this offense at the same time, while combining them with the additional receiving options that we have, this could be the most dynamic offense in the NFL. At the end of the day, despite the video's title, which is actually just a play on the discussion that Ravens fans are having, I don't see this as a competition between two tight ends. I see this as an opportunity for two fantastic teammates and players who have great respect for each other to excel in a great offense with a great quarterback who understands and works well with both of them. Right now, I can't even guess what's going to happen after this season with regards to their contracts. So I think instead, we should all just get ready to watch and enjoy what might be one of the best seasons for Ravens tight ends we've ever seen. Well, guys, that's all I have for you on this topic here today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. If you're new around here, go ahead and subscribe, and comment down below what your expectations are for these two tight ends in 2024. As always, guys, stay safe out there, and go Ravens.